I love working with students because they're so curious. And often when students haven't had a lot of training in prevention research, which is my discipline, they come with a really different view, which can be incredibly refreshing. So the combination of teaching the research methods and the techniques and the content, and this sort of little bit naive, but naive in the most positive sense, perspective can be so refreshing, and we can have a lot of fun talking about research questions in research meetings and in our regular team meetings and in my individual meetings with students. So that's really a lot of fun. So I am driven to discover the best ways to strengthen families after they've been through challenging contexts or difficult events. And one example is my work, the work of my team with military families in which a parent has deployed to war in Iraq or Afghanistan. And our goal is using the best science to discover and apply the best ways for helping parents be their kids' best teachers. So one of the ways in which we do that is with a program called ADAPT. ADAPT stands for After Deployment Adaptive Parenting Tools. And ADAPT is currently deliverable in a group format, an individual, face-to-face Skype kind of format. We call it telehealth, an online self-directed format, and actually soon we'll be delivering ADAPT in a workshop format as well. We have a wonderful participant who went through the ADAPT study and called us up afterwards and said, I want to be your testimonial. And he came with us virtually on Skype to a couple of different presentations. He's a former Marine, he's a veteran of the Marines. He was in Afghanistan and he had to see and experience and do things that he wished he didn't have to. And he had a really hard time when he came back to the US, particularly in parenting his child. And what he says is that ADAPT gave him the tools, it gave him a structure and a framework to be able to not be scared that he would do the wrong thing, that he would become aggressive, that he would react in an automatic way as a result of the traumatic events that he'd experienced. So parents talk, that's one example, but parents talk very concretely about the fact that the skills give them the confidence. And we know it's actually that what we do first, sort of in terms of our research, what we've documented is that what we do first through ADAPT is ADAPT changes parents' sense of confidence in their own ability to parent. And that is associated with later improved observed parenting. One of the biggest challenges we have with parenting programs and other programs, but parenting is my area, is that we have these best practice programs that have been developed, like ADAPT, and rigorously evaluated. I mean, we use self-report measures and observational parenting measures. We use heart rate monitors. We gather genetic data really to understand in depth what happens in families. But those programs often are developed, tested, validated, and then left on shelves in ivory towers. They don't make it. It's estimated that the penetration rate of effective prevention programs is 1%. So one of the other things that we're doing is, with funding from the National Child Traumatic Stress Network, is bringing 5 parenting programs to widespread implementation across the nation for families affected by traumatic stresses. And that's a collaboration with colleagues in Arizona, in Michigan, in Utah, as well as here in Minnesota. Parenting is the toughest job ever. I tell my kids I think it's harder to be a parent than to be the President of the United States, although he might disagree. They might disagree. We don't show the depth of emotions that we show to our family, to anyone else. As my dear, sadly deceased colleague Jim Snyder, a very close collaborator of mine, would say, the family is the crucible for strong emotions. And so, you know, shouldn't we, at the very least, help parents be their kids' best teachers by giving them tools to ensure that the kinds of interactions that happen within families are healthy ones?